Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Arna Sahu, host of Arna's News, where on this podcast channel, I aim to eliminate the gender gap in the STEM fields by featuring inspiring female professionals and highlighting their stories and accomplishments to further encourage girls. Today, on episode 24, I'm pleased to announce our guest, Ishita Majumdar. As the Vice President of Data Analytics Platforms in eBay and also the Chief Founding Member of Chief itself, she leads with influence and inspiration to create a real impact. In her 20 plus years of experience, she has driven transformations in technology, global organization management, and product development. She actively invests in mentoring and sponsoring girls in tech and is an avid speaker. Her specialties include technology and products, data and artificial intelligence, diversity and equity and inclusion. So thank you so much, Ishita, for being here today. Before we jump into the questions, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Arna, for inviting me to your podcast. I am honored. I haven't been introduced in such a flowery speech in a while, so thank you for that. And I am looking forward to our conversation.
Perfect. So thank you so much. My first question for you is tell us a bit about your career path.
That will be a long story, so I'm going to be making sure that I respect time. I have a 25-year-old career, so it started many, many years ago. And my first job was an extension of what I did in college. In the area of modeling and optimization, I was hired by Motorola to find out what is the performance impact in cellular systems if you deploy a new feature either on the handset or on the network. And because I studied operations research and I'm a math major, this was very close to my heart. And I enjoyed working on advanced research and advanced technology problems and having real value, because if the analysis came out good, that means, hey, the impact is going to, let's say, enable you X amount of revenue. The impact will not hurt your system at all. Your system has a capacity to enable this additional feature. That meant good. That means the Verizons and the AT&Ts could roll out the feature without any hiccup. Because a significant part of my career was in the telco industry, I started extending from being an engineer to a developer to an architect, and then completely changed fields and went into internal ventures, business development. I did tech strategy later, and even was an advisor to startups as an EIR, that is that spells out executive in residence for a tech incubator. At that time, data was becoming this very oft asked question, just like AI, NFT, ChatGPT are today. Data was like this question in everybody's mind. Hey, how do we make sure we activate the data that is collected in our systems or on our websites or on our marketplaces and make sense of it all? So the big questions that telco folks were asking is, how do we collect the data? This include the log data, the performance data of all the systems they had. How do we analyze and make sense of the data? How do we make decisions based on the data? And when I came to eBay and the data became not machine data, but human data, meaning transactional data, behavior data, social data, then the additional question that was asked was, how do we make sure that data privacy is maintained in whatever we do with data and activate it? This curiosity led me in the data area. And as you know, eBay has an online marketplace with 135 million buyers. We connect millions and millions of buyers and sellers on this marketplace. There's a ton of data which is coming from not only the buyer activity, but the transaction data, then the seller listing data. And it's both click data, as well as video data, as well as image data. So we have a bunch of data. And my curiosity and my expertise of analyzing data led to my current position. And I have been here for the last 8 years, enabling data analysis, not only for eBay to make better decisions, but also for our buyers and sellers to have better experiences. Does that help?
Yeah, that's so impressive. I'm so happy that I can interview you. Yeah. Okay, so my next question is, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours, and do you have any tips to succeed?
My advice would be very simple. Be curious. Be curious to learn different things. Because if you look at my career, from the point I studied math, OR, industrial engineering, optimization in college, to the point where I am, it wasn't a linear path. In fact, it was a zigzag career trajectory, some of it consciously done, some of it accidentally happening. But the commonality between the point I left college to the point where I am now has been my curiosity to learn different things, to be open to new opportunities, to learn how to be comfortable in uncomfortable settings. So my advice to you, be curious, always ask good questions, always ask questions in general, whether good or bad, it doesn't matter. Be open to learning from others. Be open to talking, speaking up, giving your opinions on something which you know little of or on something which you're an expert at. And if you have a choice and you have kind of the rough ratio is 70-30, you know 70% of a subject, you can learn the rest of the 30% on your job and raise your hand for that opportunity if it comes to you. Be open to learning from failures and celebrating success. And success, I learned during my career, is more a we collective term than an I individual term. As you work with teams and colleagues across the company, you will realize that you often think of the company success than your individual success. Because once you put on the broader lens on the definition of success, you will automatically succeed. So those are a few tips for which has helped me. Some I did not know early in my career. I wish I did. And therefore, when I have an opportunity, I always say, be open to new things and keep on asking questions.
Yeah, curiosity is a big thing that fuels this podcast channel. So I totally agree with that statement. And I'm so glad that we can share this out with the audience. Okay, so what is a common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
So one of the common myths about all data professionals today, especially, is the following. We are the big, bad, and evil data tech people, and we don't take data privacy seriously. And I want to debunk that myth and say that as a data professional, and when I say the word professional, you could be a developer, a data engineer, a data scientist, a data product manager, a UI UX designer, anything which interacts with humans. I would say as a data professional, that is my first concern. We as data professionals always think of data governance, privacy, access as the first principles based on which we do further analysis and data science. So before any data question, before any data initiative or project that comes to me and my team, we always ask, are we using data responsibly and ethically? Are we respecting the privacy laws of not only a country, but a state and an individual when it comes to data? Are we protecting the data throughout the life cycle? And when I mean life cycle, it means all the way from ingesting data from various sources to insights, inferences, and predictions where we use a lot of data science and AI models. Throughout that life cycle, the privacy of your data is going to remain protected with the same compliance as we do it for, let's say, governed data, as we do it for regulated data. We will do it with your individual data, especially because I work in an e-commerce company. That becomes the most important principle by which we make any additional decisions.
Yeah, I feel like that truly sheds a light on privacy itself because that is a very controversial topic. So I'm really happy that you brought this out. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Okay, my next question is if you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I probably didn't?
So I'm going to interpret this question as, if I were your age, what would I have asked myself? Is that the correct interpretation?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were 14 and I was a freshman in high school,
Yes.
all right, then you know what I would have asked is getting a mentor. The value of a mentor or a coach or a guide, who we can ask any kind of questions, who we can ask for guidance, like, hey, I like math and physics. What do you think I should look out for in college? Or I like biology, or I like art. What are the opportunities out there? And I think I missed that. While there were parents, there were friends, there were siblings, everybody was there, but I missed a person who I could chat with as a kind of a peer, but also someone who has already entered the career life from an academic life, and could at least show me that, hey, remember, you said you liked math and physics. Here are the opportunities you can do. You like art and you like programming. Here are the UI UX developer opportunities which awaits you. And I would have really reached out and found a mentor or gone on a platform like yours and others where it is easy to get a mentor from.
I see. Thank you for that answer. My next question is what are the best resources slash books that have helped you find your career?
So I am a voracious reader. If you ask anybody who knows me, they will vouch for that. It was very difficult to get the kind of the top 3 books, but the ones which are on my bedside table and I read over and over again. The 3 that come to mind are Measure What Matters by John Doerr. Think Again. This book taught me how to rethink what you don't know. This was by Adam Grant. And The Fearless Organization by Amy Edmondson, because I'm also a team leader and I have a fairly large organization, and I'm constantly asking myself, psychological safety comes first, and how do I build a organization based on that? And the other book which I relate to, both because the author is from India, she came to US for higher studies and went on to build a career. At that level, it's very similar to mine. And that is Indra Nooyi's My Life in Full. As far as the best resources throughout my career, some of them are going to be what anybody would answer. Like, for example, my family, my parents, my grandfather, who was actually my math tutor. My grandfather taught me math. My teachers, professors, colleagues, managers, they all had a role in shaping my career. But very early in my career, I found myself a sponsor at a time when I didn't even know what a sponsor means. Padmashri Warrior, who was a CTO of Motorola at that time, constantly gave me opportunities, gave me the most difficult projects, talked about me in meetings where I wasn't there, and kind of accelerated the growth of my career and even gave me the confidence that, hey, you are naturally a good leader. Did you know that? You're naturally a good presenter. Did you know that? I didn't know any of that. So there you go. I had a sponsor early in my life purely by luck, and she has done wonders for my career. And then I'm a mathematician at heart, so I want to leave you with another book, which is on my bedside table since my college days and is a linear programming book by George Danzig.
Thank you so much for these book recommendations. I will definitely dive into them. All right. So, what do you think is a vital factor that shaped your career? What was your life before learning it? And what was your life after learning it?
I would say belief in myself, or in other words, self-confidence. There's a before part and an after part. So if I rewind and I think about my very early stages in my career, I remember I used to doubt myself all the time. And I used to ask myself, can I solve this problem? No, maybe not. Maybe what this person is saying is the right answer. And I better not raise my hand because I'm not 100% sure if I know the answer. Then I would say, can I speak up? Probably not, because I don't think my question is intelligent enough. Someone will say, oh, what a silly question. Oh, it's a naive question. Everyone knows that. So I was always hesitant. I had the imposter syndrome. I had very little belief in my own ability, even though I was an expert in that particular field. I still couldn't justify my speaking up or my giving an opinion or my me raising a hand and giving an answer. And it took a lot of years of advice, especially from colleagues, managers, coaches even, that I had to get over those imposter syndrome. So let's look at what happened after I learned to get over that, and I had self-confidence and belief in myself. I kind of became fearless. I think there was something, a big block and a big obstacle moved out of my conscious thinking. And I decided that I will go and ask a question. Doesn't matter who thinks if it's a naive question or not. I'm okay with asking questions. I'm okay with speaking up and saying something wrong. I'm okay. I'm actually very, very comfortable making mistakes. And then I decided, if I'm okay with this, and that there was this liberated feeling that I can be wrong and still learn something from it, and I can be right and go move forward. But failure is not bad. Failure is an opportunity to learn. So I started taking more risks, not only with the current work and the current research that I was doing, but I started taking risks with my career. So when there was an opportunity which came by, which I applied that 70-30 rule, 70% I knew, and 30% I was willing to learn on my job. I raised my hand. I had a wonderful manager who gave me the opportunity. And together with the right team, I made it work. And that gave me an enormous confidence that no matter what you throw at me, I will figure out on how to make it work.
I'm glad you shed light on that, because imposter syndrome is such a big, issue that so many people have to face in the tech industry. I've known so many people that have had to suffer with that. So I'm really glad that you shared your tips on overcoming this fear. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I say this to my daughter, who's also a 14-year-old, all the time, that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to know everything from 0 to 100. But if you ask the question, then people will identify you're interested. And showing interest will open up doorways which you would not have gotten if you didn't ask. So my summary of this is, the answer is always no. if you don't ask. So ask.
Thank you. Since we have a bit of time left, let's go through the additional questions. So, what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I mentioned this before. I really wished I knew what the word mentor meant. I wish I knew the importance of having a mentor who you can go and be your authentic self. Someone to not only teach you maybe the area, the technical area, that's important, but more so important is someone who can teach you the skills that will help you become successful. And none of these are taught at school. The skills of how to collaborate with others, how to do teamwork, and lead a team where there may be dissenting opinions, but you have to have the ability to resolve a conflict. You have to have the leadership skills to build consensus. You have to inspire the team, motivate the team, and drive them towards a common purpose. How to negotiate, negotiating opinions, negotiating solutions, negotiating decisions is a very important part of my current job now. And if these skills were slowly taught at an age where I was beginning my career, I think I would have been better at all of these a little earlier in my career than now. So I think what I want to leave with you is, no matter what career you choose, you will always have your area of expertise, and nobody can take that away from you. You will be flourishing. You will know the best in the room. You'll probably have a lot of confidence in that. What you want to develop would be the soft skills that I talked about, the how to be a good team player, how to make sure that you can, in 1 hour meeting, come towards a decision, how to execute, have a sense of urgency about what you do, how to meet deliverables and milestones and timelines, and at the end, create impact. How do you measure impact? That I wished I had learned early in my career, and it took a few trial and errors to learn all this while on the job.
I see. Thank you so much for giving all of these tips. And my last question is, how do you continue to learn in order to stay on top of things within your role?
That's a great question, because it is so easy to get stale, both in knowledge and expertise, if you don't keep up with what is going on around you. As I mentioned, I'm a voracious reader. So I am a student of leadership, mostly through books. I'm a student of new technology and new areas of development through conferences. And then I'm continuously learning leadership skills, team culture, team management from organizations that I belong to. You mentioned I was a founding member of Chief. Chief is a community of C-level women leaders. And there's a whole lot of peer-to-peer relationship advice, guidance, which is part of Chief's core DNA. I learned from colleagues. I learned from senior level role models at my work and outside. I'm also part of a data and analysis consortium made up of practitioners like me. I'm a data practitioner. Somebody is analyst. Somebody is AI data scientist. And we kind of get together every month to talk about, hey, what problem are you working on today? What are the new research that we should be looking at? Well, how do you build the right team cultures? Potentially, in my world, we call it the data culture. How do you make sure that the organization has the right data culture to disrupt what you have already and create new efficiencies? Sometimes, I reach out proactively to folks who I think can advise me on something specific. And I would encourage you and your listeners also to do that and have a very thick skin, because a lot of a lot of those questions, a lot of those outreach will go unanswered, and that's okay. But if they do answer, even if 1 out of 10 answers, that is huge. That is your opportunity to get 30 minutes with him or her and identify areas that you were looking to learn from them. And then I am also, as I mentioned, I'm an eternal student. So I do take a lot of courses on Coursera. The current one that I'm enrolled in has nothing to do with data, but is everything to do with my current well-being. And it's called The Science of Well-Being by Laurie Santos, who's a professor at Yale.
Thank you for sharing all of these tips. I mean, I know a lot of people think that once you get into technology, that's it. But, you kind of have to continue with the learning so you understand what you're going to do because new technology is always produced every single day. So, yeah.
That is true. So be, again, learning. If you are curious, remember I started with the word curiosity. If you're curious, that naturally leads you to your appetite for learning new things because curiosity drives that. As you're learning new things, you also want to collate them, process them, analyze it, and get the insights out of that new thing. And then you want to talk about those insights with your fellow peers and fellow friends and colleagues who are in that area to talk about it and discuss it and do a pros and cons analysis. And so from curiosity all the way, you will reach, as curiosity as a driver, you will reach a point where you are now collecting others' opinions, giving your insightful thoughts. And through that interaction, there's amazing decisions you learn about, amazing solutions you learn about. But don't forget, everything was driven by the curiosity, that inane curiosity that you had in you. Without that, none of this would have been possible.
Yeah. Curiosity truly fuels everything because without it, you can't really go far.
That's true.
Okay, so I saw this one section. It's on quotes. Would you like to share a few quotes that you found?
Yes, there are certain quotes which are, again, they are on a big poster. They're beside my bed. This is something which I follow. I'm a big Ruth Bader Ginsburg fan. And those of you know, she was called the Notorious RBG. She was the Supreme Court Justice, passed away. And when I read her biography, when I read her life, I felt like that she's speaking on all our behalf. Like when she said, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And that's called leading by influence. And she always said, don't give up on something which is important, but you also need consensus. You also need others to come with you and make that solution happen. It's so true, even in a tech career like mine. Indra Nooyi says, leadership is hard to define, and good leadership is even harder. But if you can get people to follow you to the ends of the earth, you are a great leader, which is exactly what Ruth Bader Ginsburg said in a different way. And I feel that is also this continuum, meaning leadership is not 10 bullet points which you say, I got these, I am A+ in everything. It is not. Leadership is about making sure you inspire folks who you work with, folks who you can influence, and enable to follow you, if necessary, to the ends of the earth. If you can do that, then yes, you are a great leader because you motivated others to believe in something that you believe passionately in. And my last and favorite quote, which actually sums up my personality, is when it rains, look for the rainbows. When it's dark, look for the stars. This is a quote from Oscar Wilde. And I think I am the person who is always glass half full. I ride on optimism. I believe in hope. I always look at the future with promise and huge potential. That's what I'm looking for. I look at the future and see there's huge potential. And anything which is very hard and any distressing situations which happen at work, they automatically come to me because they know that you give her a very ugly problem which has got really messy and it has got lots of tentacles. She will be able to unravel it and find the rainbows even when it rains. So that's a quote which is very close to my heart because it kind of summarizes me in a nutshell.
That previous quote made me smile because I'm totally the same. I also write on optimism. I'm a very positive person. And you know how people always have this one quote with them? I think I will be taking this quote because it's so good.
Do
So
it.
thank you so much for sharing this quote.
Thank you, Arna. I mean, I kind of sense the optimism when you're talking to me. I see your face, I see your animated expressions, and I feel like you are one of those who actually applies to all these quotes because you are going to fight for the right things, do it in a way that others will follow. You will inspire others and make sure that they follow you to the ends of the earth. And you definitely will look for the rainbows and look for the stars, whether it's raining or whether it's dark. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those compliments. All right, so thus that concludes episode 24. If you want to know more about how I relate to these amazing topics, then stay tuned for upcoming episodes. A free way to support this show is by leaving it a 5-star rating and a review on the player you are listening to. Let me know what you enjoy about this podcast, as it's a chance to tell me what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it too. Once again, thank you for finding me, and I hope we stay in touch with each other. Dito, you're listening to Arna Sahu, the host of Arna's News. Toodles!